But it's actually a fun game.
Yeah.
That's the part that irritates me. Because it doesn't have all the stack BS for Magic.
Right.
Like,
right.
when I attack you, you can counter once. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't re-counter. There's nothing. I was like, all right, cool.
Counter my counter to your counter.
Yeah, it's definitely not a thing. Countercharge?
What?
Hey, that's a podcast.
That's a podcast. It's a good Friends of the Show run podcast.
The show? What show?
Deadzone the podcast.
Hey!
That's where you're at. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Deadzone the podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bryan.
And I'm Rick.
Welcome to the Deadzone podcast. Deadzone is the sci-fi tabletop.
And this is episode 150.
Holy crud!
Which means we've done 50 of that.
Whoo! So, is that 150 full episodes, or does that count any of like our interviews?
That does not count the interviews.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that means we've done probably closer to 75.
Probably.
Probably.
I was counting those. But no, so it was a thing. I was plugging away, putting the notes together, and it's like, oh man, this is 150.
That's awesome.
Kind of a milestone. But yeah, so thank you guys for encouraging us to keep making episodes,
yes.
and hope you continue to enjoy, and let us know if there's other things you want to see.
Hear.
But don't worry.
Or hear.
Yeah, well, I post pictures.
But
sometimes.
we've been trying to do a little bit more with our YouTube channel.
Yes, including some stuff I'll talk a little bit later, if I remember. So to help me remember, I have a list of notes.
Yay!
Because there's actually been quite a bit of news
going on.
Happened recently.
Some things I'm super excited about too.
Yeah. So kind of first off, wanted to mention, because it passed us in the interim between episodes, the Manta Companion app had turned 1. It's a year old, and it's come a very long way.
It's an awesome.
It's improved a lot.
That is really helpful. For me, the rules.
Yeah.
Being able to you build your list. Mm-hmm. Of course, you can save all your lists and everything.
Yeah.
And all that, but being able to refer to the rules, especially like case in point, a couple weeks ago. We played Armada. Michael and I sat down and played some Armada. He's got the book, and we're trying to figure out something, and I'm like, duh, the Pin Me app. Pulled it up, and just clicked. It was like, oh, well, that's a lot easier than flipping through a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy the app.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's come a really long way.
The improvements have been great.
The improvements are great. Big shout out to Elliot.
Yes.
He's always listening in for feedback and making those tweaks and improvements and bug catches and everything like that. He's been a real trooper on keeping the app, running as smoothly as possible. And it's really great to see where it's come, and there's more great things I think ahead for it.
Yeah.
Mantic is continuing to listen to the community on the app and the feedback around it. I know one of the things in kind of a recent news post they had mentioned was the kind of doing more of a simultaneous release when
they did with Clash of Kings.
Yeah, Clash of Kings, they did it where both sets of rules updated at the same time. I think the feedback from the Firefight command protocols I think was kind of they understand the intent, where it's like you want those brick and mortar stores
purchases to happen.
Yeah, you want the purchases of the book to happen, but at the same time the disconnect between the two, I think it just it was kind of rocky. So going forward, I think their marching orders are going to be when we release a new update that's significant like that, it's going to be at the same time, which is great. And hey, you know, if someone's been on the fence, one thing you can do is they've introduced a referral code program which can get you a free month and 20% off for your buddy.
You know the problem with that is? Everybody that I referred to has it.
So if you don't, now's your chance. You know what? You know, it's going to be the holiday season, especially here in the States. And what better way to celebrate the holidays than to play some Deadzone and some Firefight? Get your relatives into these games.
Yes.
Because hey, they're a fun time, and you know, if you need that away from the family, it's like, hey, just get your favorite family members. Like, let's just go throw some dice and people will ignore us for a while.
I think my nephew and I will probably play Deadzone at Thanksgiving.
That's awesome. So yeah, that's definitely out there, and so gonna continue seeing great work on the companion app.
Yes.
Moving forward. The new terrain crate, or you know, the terrain crate tree.
Yeah.
Had Kickstarter for a while.
Fauna.
Had mostly
Is that the right word?
Yeah, fauna.
Yeah.
Foliage and stuff like that. So you got trees and plants and other
customizable trees and plants.
Customizable trees and plants. Built to be magnetized.
Yep.
Really look good. Like if you see the pictures of the terrain all painted up and everything.
Oh yeah.
It looks really sweet. And so this is all available now for purchase. I think in the meantime, it had been in pre-order since our last episode, and now it is formally available to everybody. So if you've been wanting to spruce up your boards in more of a sci-fi jungle theme, definitely look at the terrain crate. It's another great set, and that product line, I think, just continues to, outstrip their competition. Really, like it's always really
the terrain
innovative.
crate has been amazing.
It's always something that other options out there just don't exist. Yeah. So like the sci-fi vegetation and stuff like that. Like no one was putting out trees.
Nope.
For
and the Mantic did it, and then some others started popping up.
Yeah, then the 3D printing side of things kind of took off. Other things that had kind of been announced since our last episode, obviously there was the Mantic Game Day had happened like right around the time we recorded last time, which had the Enforcers announcement.
New Enforcers, I can't wait.
But we did also get the formal announcement that Night Stalkers are going to be coming to Firefight.
So the funny thing about that is all of those Kings of War players that bought in heavy for, what was it?
Clash of Kings?
No. The game.
Vanguard?
Vanguard. Everybody that bought in heavy with Vanguard has a ton of Night Stalkers.
Yeah. Probably not multi-based.
Not multi-based because they were set for Vanguard.
Yep.
Now I'm trying to figure out, I've got my Vanguard stuff. That's not enough for Firefight.
No.
Dang it.
That's kind of the thing is that Firefight, you do need quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I think the trick is, getting them all onto round bases now. Because they won't be...
Yep.
So it's one of those things, like, obviously it helps from a production standpoint for Magic. Yeah. It's a really well-made line. Like, the Night Stalkers
look
fantastic.
Sweet. And they're 100% fantasy / sci-fi.
Yeah. Because it's all about...
Nightmares are kind of a thing.
It's all about, going through the void and dimension hopping and stuff like that. So we'll see how the lore
See how many scarecrow heads I can find and put on zombies.
I mean, ultimately, it is something that the Deadzone setting, and the Warpath setting, I should say. We have a lot of, sci-fi horror elements within it. The Nameless are kind of creepy looking and have psychic abilities. We have the Plague, which are mutant monsters and stuff like that.
They're just misunderstood.
So if you're unfamiliar with the lore behind Night Stalkers and how they manifest, think of Freddy Krueger. These are creatures that tap into your worst fears. and that's why they look like scarecrows, and that's why they look
and the
like
rippers.
Yeah, and just things with no eyes and only mouths.
Only mouths, yeah.
So it's a fun
and
like
that really creepy brain.
Yeah.
With tentacles.
Yeah. So it is a space that we can fit into.
So
Warpath.
you immediately look at when you're trying to compare Night Stalkers and how they fit in the Warpath universe, there's a really good movie to watch that shows that to you. It's called Event Horizon.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Because like that is the epitome of that whole your darkest fears. I mean, you throw in Event Horizon and Hellraiser.
Yeah.
I think it's like 5 or something that they're
One
in space.
One of them is in space, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6 that they're in space. There you go. There's your Night Stalkers right there. I can't wait.
Yeah, so like a psychological horror themed faction actually can fit pretty well into the Warpath setting. Because
I know there's a way I can figure out how to get it on Ghost of Mars.
The worst movie ever?
It's the best movie ever.
There's flashbacks within flashbacks, right?
Night Stalkers.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But anyway, so so that's in Firefight beta right now.
Yep.
So another announcement is Warpath.
Warpath Epic.
The epic scale game is going to be coming to Kickstarter in early 2024. And they brought on board Alessio Cavatore, and I'm butchering that name. I think he's Italian.
I think so too.
But
he's been around in the gaming scene. I mean, he worked on the first Kings of War.
Yeah, he's worked on Warhammer, 40K. I think he was the main designer for Conquest.
Yep.
And Kings of War, like you said. So he's back and working with the team to develop the rules.
See what Warpath.
And they've been posting a lot of notes on like how even with the playtest that they made publicly available, that they've already been making tweaks and adjustments to it. Yep. So it is a game that is continuing to evolve and develop as we speak. And so going to Kickstarter, it's going to be kind of for that production and making that happen. And based on the feedback they've already gotten so far,
people want it.
And I think it's going to be a resounding success. Can you imagine like just a whole battlefield full of Forge Father tanks, little tiny tanks?
You're going to start playing Enforcers because you're going to make an entire army of epic scale Striders.
Maybe.
You're going to have the whole thing.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I forget if they've mentioned what factions are going to all be in that version of the game yet. I imagine most of the Firepath line. Firepath.
That's a good one.
Firefight line. We'll be making it that way.
Enforcers, Forge Fathers, Asterians.
So like a GCPS.
GCPS Plague.
Yeah.
I think that it's safe to say that those are the ones.
Yeah.
At least to start.
Yeah. And then we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see as it goes from there.
All sorts of goodies. Mazon Labs.
Little tiny vermin.
Little tiny rats. And so, kind of with that, people have been kind of wondering. There's a lot of stuff coming on the sci-fi side.
There really is.
But, a lot of people have been kind of asking,
it's awfully quiet in Deadzone right now.
It's kind of quiet on the Deadzone side. And we just wanted to say that, try to keep the faith, guys. There is stuff. The
rules committee is definitely hard at work on something for us. Obviously, we can't say anything.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating, but
so just know there's beta on the Firefight side.
Yep.
There is beta stuff actively being worked on in the Deadzone side of things. And we hope to hear more about that as soon as we can say it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's shaping up really well, though. I can say that much, probably.
Yes.
Because it's an opinion that is non-specific. So, other things that we got going on. So, I did want to mention, we're going to bid a fond farewell to Martin.
Yes.
He's been a big member of the Mantic team for quite a while. It was always great to hang out with him at Deadzone and some of these other events that he would come to. He was a big member of the community and on the company side of things. So he's moving to on to other things, and so we wish him all the best, and we'll miss you, Martin.
Good luck, man.
Yep.
Hey there, I'm Bryan.
And I'm Rick. This is Blaine. You are listening to Deadzone, the podcast. Keep listening for more excellent material from these two amazing men. Blaine out.
And so, with that...
Sometimes it's so funny to like when we do an episode where you actually have a full.
I got
notes,
a full load.
It's like Bryan is so concentrated on the list. I gotta get all this stuff in.
Get this done. And I think as the last of the notes, so Mantic Vault.
Yes.
Had in this last stretch, the new release included Forge Father Terrain.
Yep.
Which was pretty neat. I haven't had a chance to print any of it yet, but I'm definitely intrigued. It's a aspect of the setting that I know we've talked to each other about a lot, where it's like, the thing that's missing in sci-fi terrain right now is like other faction.
So, like, the Deadzone terrain, the terrain that we have for the Warpath universe, like, that fits very well for Enforcers. It fits very well for GCPS. Mazon Labs, even Marauders.
Yeah, even Veermen, really.
Because of where they are. But you have those races, like Asterians and Forge Fathers, and, I mean, Nameless. Like, these are things...
We have art of a very thick jungle planet.
Yeah, like, these are things that we really want to see on our table, that like this is a good start.
Yeah, and hopefully it's a sprinkling of things to come on the terrain crate side. I think that would be a great next step for them.
Oh yeah,
is to especially with it being sci-fi dwarf terrain that is so like thematically themed for the Forge Fathers.
Yes.
And I think it would be really awesome to start seeing that on tables of other games.
Yep.
So
that's always a joy when you go in and you see Mantic terrain on a board that's like, oh,
you guys are playing something else. But
that's not what I thought that was.
So in addition to that, there were a lot of the new bits for the tunnelers.
Yeah.
You could do the shield tunnelers, the command one, which was the tangle, the tangle tunneler, and the saturation one, which was like rockets going everywhere. Yep. And there was the Forge Father
command tank,
and the missile,
the four.
I forget what.
I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know those names well enough to pronounce them. Still great stuff on the vault. The clue for this upcoming month for December sounds like elves will be.
It sounds like
up.
I mean, yeah. We're gonna see elves.
I'm curious because they did the naughty or nice, and the pictures that they used were both the traditional elves, the classic elves that they have, and the Twilight Kin. So I think we're going to get both of those lines. We'll see.
And the sculpt of that picture that's from League of Infamy.
Yeah.
Which is super exciting because the elves in that box are actually really sweet.
Yeah. The only downside with them was that they were kind of PVC.
Yeah.
So being able to put those into resin.
Is that gonna put you back into playing elves again?
We'll see. I still have a lot of elves, but I haven't really touched them since I worked on my Northern Alliance. So.
That's true.
But yeah, so that kind of wraps up the news section.
That was a bit.
Yeah, we're in like 18 minutes. So, but today, actually, as we're recording this, we're actually going to be going to
a firefight tournament.
A firefight tournament, specifically a team firefight tournament.
Firefight tournament. And the cool thing is it's randomized.
Yeah.
So we all build our 750 point, and we have no idea who we're going to get teamed up with.
Yeah.
Which I can see the competitive edge in people that wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
But the way generally we play in our tournaments and everything, it's about having fun and just enjoying the game. So I think we're going to see some really interesting partnerships.
Yeah. It'd be weird to see Plague working with the Asterians if that combo shows up.
Yeah. It'd be pretty normal for Mazon Labs to work with Plague.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. That sounds like a joint venture that they would work with together.
Forge Father's working with the Asterians? That's not a thing.
Nah, we'll have to see. We're looking forward to it. So walk us through your list, Rick.
Well, hey, I'm gonna pull it up in the companion now.
And I suppose this is also kind of a pseudo hobby table because
it is.
This Deadzone, the podcast hobby table, is sponsored by Corvus Games Terrain, 3D printer files for all your Mantic games. And by Acid House Terrain, foldable cardboard terrain for wargaming and RPGs.
Speaking of hobby, the other big thing going on right now is Corvus Games has their Kickstarter going for their new scenery.
Yes, the Magna Fortuna Kickstarter project is live and growing. We love to see it. So, it's a combination of buildings that are a bit more kind of laboratory themed in the same vein as the Tycho Starport style, which we love. And in addition to that, there's also the infected buildings.
Yes.
Which I think are just going to be a sweet addition to the setting.
And he's got some excellent add-ons.
The stretch goals.
He's got some. Actually, he's finally doing some miniatures.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm super excited for those. Plus, it's got to get there, but the whole rock scenery.
The rock scenery and all the plants that he's designed. We've got a couple samples, and I mentioned at the top of the show some more video content. Yep. I'll be showing off some of the stuff that I've printed from that line that I've got painted up now that I can formally start posting about it.
Yeah.
And check out the Kickstarter. We'll have a link in the show notes, and definitely go to back it because this is great quality.
Yes.
Terrain for
prints incredibly easy, FDM or resin, and it's a great addition for your Deadzone or Firefight table. And we really want to get to those rocks and stretch goals, guys. So let's make it happen. Yes, indeed.
All right.
So Firefight. 750 points. So I kind of played around with the idea of what I wanted to bring for Mazon Labs, because it's the first time I'm running Mazon Labs, and I've always liked the idea of Mazon Labs, and I decided I didn't want any Marines.
No Marines.
So there are no Blackwing Marines in this list. I ended up my leaders are both the Infected Lab Tech and the Cyborg Prime.
Nice.
Which turns into having 2 units of Reanimated Division.
Yeah.
For a cyborg. So I'm pretty much all cyborgs with a couple little tricks. I brought 1 Blackwing unit because I brought the Blackwing Mule Transport. Mm-hmm. And then I have, because I never leave home without an aberration, I had to bring an aberration. But I really wanted to try the Chovar.
Yeah.
So I have the Chovar as well.
Nice.
Super simple as far as the units. A lot of melee. So between the melee, which I have not really done much of, mostly it's been I'm just going to hang back here and shoot you, climb into a building and shoot you.
Yeah.
Now I got to run after you.
Yeah.
The big thing that I wanted to see was how the Chovar is going to work in Firefight. because it's psychic.
Yeah. Yeah, the Chovar, like even in Deadzone, is kind of like an unsung hero. Like he's someone who hangs in the back, but like the psychic abilities, especially something like Invigorate in Deadzone, is a classic.
Or Stun.
Like he's just got a huge like arsenal to pull from. So seeing him in Firefight is going to be kind of fun.
Yeah. So that's what I got. What are you bringing us?
So
no webs.
Yet. One day. I have to paint a lot of them. And so I'm bringing GCPS. And so I'm continuing on to work on figuring out kind of how well I can play them and figuring out how to play them, really. But I'm bringing my Marine Major.
Well, hopefully you do better than I did at the GT with your GCPS.
No, it's all right, because I barely do any better. So, bringing the Marine Major, he's just a small little guy, laser pistol and whatnot, but, brings a orange tactician dice, very inspiring, and, on your feet soldier's not bad. Especially with pinning and everything like that being a big issue. Then I've got a mule transport to get people around the board. And I kept the autocannon on that just to keep it a nice, simple transport for me.
Oh, you brought up the whole pinning thing.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason why I'm playing what I'm playing. More robot than not is the Cyborg Primes thing, and allows me to charge when I'm pinned.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And so the next couple here is where I really started dipping into more of like the recent updates from command program.
Yeah.
So I've got the heavy weapons team. Got one that has the mortar. And so now with mortars, you can choose an ammo type before firing.
Oh, that's going to be crazy.
You have shrapnel shells and smoke shells. So one is for damage, one is for smoke.
Yeah.
And again, smoke now, we don't use the template anymore.
Yep.
You target a unit, and that unit essentially gains like stealth. Which I'm gonna miss the big old like smoke block.
Yes.
But it just works so much more cleanly to just have it be like a little token. And then I have my other team, other member of that team was going to be the autocannon one. So I've got some long range and some pinning. And I picked the drone. I'm putting that in quotes.
In quotes, air in quotes even.
GCPS engineer. Additional 20 points. The shoot stat becomes 4 up, which I forgot about last time I played. And they lose the slow reload keyword.
Ooh.
So the weapon team can now move and shoot.
Oh, that's scary.
Right? And like, I think it's a great little addition.
Yeah.
And I think the drones are like the second to last thing to die on a unit. So, that'll be a nice way to keep that unit as a threat throughout the board. Next up, I have veterans. And just a small little unit. I got a comms veteran on there, so they now gain inspiring and advanced training. And then I did bump up the leader to a staff sergeant. Ooh. So that gives him weight of fire 1 on his laser carbine, which does have marksman on it.
Nice.
So they're a fun little unit now. I love these little tweaks you can give to units.
Yeah, so one of the cyborg units, I gave them a lab tech.
Yeah,
which gives them the
the advanced training.
Yeah.
No, that's
so I have a unit of them that doesn't need to be near that leader, which is awesome.
Yeah, that little addition to I know for GCPS, like it's having the comms unit, which used to just be inspiring for self. It makes total sense for that to give them the advanced training ability, and it gives more armies access to that. So it's not just something like enforcers, and I think Asterians like really dominated with that ability.
Yeah.
So now that other factions can kind of have that and take that as it takes a little extra cost to get it, but but it's a great way to modify and tweak your units. So then I have 2 sets of Rangers. Both of them, I've got a comms Ranger in there. Forgot that I didn't actually have a second Ranger comm unit model painted up.
Oops.
But so I've got a regular Marine in the mix there with it. And so one of them I did give the flamethrower to for a little it burns action, and then I did do the sniper rifle with the other one. So interesting. I just realized the flamer is 15 points. The sniper rifle is 10. So which seems like an oddity because it's usually been the other way around that a flamethrower.
Yeah, but how many
cheaper.
dice do you get with the flame?
2 dice.
How many dice do you get with the sniper?
1 dice.
There you go.
AP2.
Yeah.
But those are my 2 Ranger squads. Didn't take extra models on any of these really. I do have my GCPS medic because it's always great to have that little aura of healing and resilience and whatnot. And then I've got 2 TAC drones. One's got a missile launcher for some anti-aircraft that'll never hit. And the other one has the autocannon for a little bit of pinning action. And lastly, I've got my GCPS Strider. And
of course.
With the Polaris cannon, the anti-tank buster.
Yep.
And I did the veteran pilot upgrade to give him marksman because my dice rolls are terrible. And
you need every help you can get.
I need all the help I can get. So on 4 dice, probably rolling a couple ones in there. I'll maybe convert a few of those.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting to see because I haven't played with it since the command protocols came out with the devastating rules. So it's devastating D2 plus 1. So, controlled fire, heavy armor vehicle.
Yeah,
gotta
be above.
Gotta love it. So that's my list for the tourney. And so again, this will be a team effort. So these forces combine. Some of the rules kind of worth noting for the event for anybody that's interested in running your own. So how we kind of had it set up. This is run by our good buddy Nick, by the way, who we will probably have on the show later.
Who has also retired his Asterians.
He did retire his Asterians.
Yes. So if he has to ringer tonight, he's playing Forge Fathers.
Oh, that's right.
But he's playing Abyssal Forge Fathers.
That's right. Yeah. So a fun little cross brand there. Honestly, that could be another line that they just start doing. Yep. Is like, let's do some infernal Forge Fathers that are like Star Forged.
Yep.
Or something like that. You could play with it.
I would.
And so some of the rules like command dice, you have your own and you can spend them on your own.
Yep.
On your own guys only. Your abilities can't work towards your team member at all.
Correct.
Trying to think of
the big thing is that you play as a team.
You play as a team.
So it's your opponent goes, then you go. That's it.
Yeah,
it's not you go and then your partner goes and then their partner goes and then they go. Yeah, no, it's one activation. Yeah,
and so you can decide amongst yourselves like, all right, now would be a great time to move our Wolverine tank into position. Now would be a good time to
because you might end up in that situation where like. If I got teamed up with somebody that was very much so a ranged team, like I might be moving the majority of my stuff first.
Yeah.
And then you finish up the turn. And it kind of plays out that way.
It could be a great like combo double hit there where it's like, all right, I'm going to move big Marine squad because I'm just going to use GCPS references because we're into this building and just just devastate this one unit and then. Oh, my ally here, he's going to extra activate and move his, let's say, Mazon Labs.
My
cyborgs into melee.
That same unit in melee and finish it off.
And just finish them off.
Yep.
As a 1-2 punch. So that's kind of how it would work as far as doing those combos. So the team member that is, if you're going to use a command dice and things like that, especially for extra activation, it would be the person that is doing the activation.
Yep.
But otherwise, it's really straightforward. Like
It really is.
There was no intent to make it complicated or anything like that. So you work as a team, and hopefully you win as a team.
Yeah. And of course, our boards we are all playing on Acid House terrain.
Yep. Acid House
again, the same stuff we had at GC. Because it's phenomenal for Firefight.
It really is.
Yeah, and then of course, obviously we're going to get ready to take a break so we can head over and play some games. But then when we come back, we'll actually have Nick on the show with us and get his feedback on how his tournament went.
Yeah. So here's a quick commercial break, and then
as we go play some games.
See you guys in a second.
Jack here from Dreadball Commercials. You've seen me, you love me, you know you want me. Here you're listening to Deadzone the podcast with Rick and Bryan. Don't turn that dial or I'm coming for you.
The Corvus Games Terrain coupon code for this month is DZ Podcast December. Put that code in the checkout and you'll get a discount off of your order.
I feel hungry.
Okay, so take this. There you go. Thank you. That's how this thing works.
Welcome to Deadzone the podcast, Nick. How are you feeling? Well, we already established you're hungry.
I could eat some Taco Bell.
Yeah.
So tell us about your tournament.
You know,
I mean, we were in the tournament.
You were in the tournament, so that doesn't count as
You're
much.
the TO.
Yeah.
I was the TO, which is a very weird feeling. Because I haven't run a wargaming tournament since 6th edition 40K.
Oh, wow.
It's been a minute then.
It's been a minute.
You've normally been on the other side, rolling dice that are killing people.
I do. The curse of the D8.
Yes.
But no, 8 people initially signed up. It went down to 7 this morning. And then I got a message right after saying, hey, can I bring another person along? And there we go, 8 people.
So that worked out.
A nice even teams.
Yeah.
4 teams, and I didn't have to play.
So, Nick, we're pretty sure this is the first team Firefight tournament that's been played.
Surprising.
Yeah.
It played really well, actually.
It did.
Team.
I think it could have, the rounds might have been a little too short. 105 minutes, a lot of people didn't make it to 3 rounds.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, it was...
I think Firefight runs into that in general, like if you don't give it a big chunk of time.
At the GT, most of my games were done by round 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is, though, you also had quite a few new players that were learning the game.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's true.
Like, in my last game, I was helping them out a lot. It's like,
That's true. Yeah, they'd played, your teammate had only played 1 or 2 games before today.
Mm-hmm.
One of my buddies who I've been playing games with forever has only played 1 or 2 games with me.
Yeah, I think...
So almost everybody here
Has played 1 or 2 games.
Has played 1 or 2 games apart from us.
Yeah, and I think I've actually played more games than you.
And Bryan, you've TO'd a bunch.
I might
so
like,
you
I might be at
TO'd a
like
ton.
4.
You've TO'd.
So,
You've TO'd
yeah,
a lot.
I know the game okay.
Yeah, some rules that we've been playing were incorrect. We figured that out.
We got some corrections.
Which is good. There's a lot of rules that just came out with the command protocol.
Yeah, and that was the other thing, was the command protocol. So that did change a few things for some of the players, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Good changes, though.
Good changes.
So
yeah.
what was the spread that you guys had for
as far as factions?
Factions, yeah.
We had 2 enforcers.
2 enforcers.
Beermine, GCPS.
2 GCPS.
GCPS. 1 Asterion and 1 Forge Father.
So almost.
I don't count?
You don't count.
Nah.
Mazon Labs never counts.
But I mean,
But I like my cyborgs.
that just means Marauders and Plague
We're the only factions.
were the only ones that didn't make.
Sorry, Marauder players and Plague players.
Which is funny because I'm
nothing
both.
against it,
It
because
is true. You do have both armies.
with 8 players, that's actually a pretty good spread.
It is.
It really is.
I mean, it's funny because the player who dropped was also playing Beermine, and then the player who added on an hour before I got into the store played Beermine. So, it worked out.
Yeah.
No, it was a really fun time, and so we wound up playing like across 3 tables.
Different tables.
3 tables. Tried to make it so people weren't repeating, but with only 4 teams,
There was going to be some.
it was going to
repeats. It is
happen.
what
I
it is.
think everybody played in the same table at least twice, except for 1 team. And there wasn't for effectively 3,000 point games, because it was combined 750 for 1,500 aside. Not a lot of stuff was dying completely.
No. I know in our games, like, didn't break 1,000 points worth. I think the highest was like around 500 plus a little.
I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and I'm probably not, because I was looking at the kills, the highest total kills was about 1,400 for the day.
For the day.
Oh, wow.
So that's not a lot of kills across
not even
3
a full
games.
Table.
Not even a full table.
Not even a full table.
And most of the games I saw were pretty dead even, which is good.
Yeah. I know, like, all of our games, like, were really competitive, really close when it came down to objective time.
Oh, yeah, once people started playing objectives, things got a little more interesting. Rick was playing objectives all day.
Yeah, he was.
That's how you win these games.
Well, what was the maximum charge you figured out for your cyborgs?
31.
31 inches.
For my my infected lab tech.
Infected lab tech.
So a 12-inch deployment forward, followed by a 31-inch charge.
If you put them in
If you put them in a mule.
If you put them in a
And
mule.
move the mule, it's 12. And then you drop them out, and they have 15. And then with the 15, and then you activate their neurochip.
Yeah.
It adds 6 to it. Yeah, it's
Just casual brain implants.
And the funny thing is, that was a unit that I brought specifically to go in the mule, and I didn't realize it until the 3rd game.
But wow, once you did.
And I still didn't use it in the 3rd game.
I don't think you had to.
No, because I used them to score victory points.
Yeah, but your psychic powers only got to be used once, didn't they?
Twice.
Twice.
I got to use it twice, and both times it was like, eh.
Are you impressed with it?
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody had fun today, and that's what
Good.
matters.
Yeah.
And that's what really matters.
And I had fun.
That's
Perfect.
Got a lot of good pictures. But
Then you need to post them,
look, I've already posted 2 games worth. I'm going to post the other ones when I get home after Taco Bell.
and then send them to us so we can post them on.
They'll be in the
Our
Fnatic.
page
They'll
too.
be in. Okay, fine. I could make you hunt them down yourselves, but I'll be nice. I'll be nice.
I will say my Strider, like, finally,
Your Strider, holy crap.
like, brought the
One
hang.
shot in Iron Ancestor, was it?
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut. Okay. Not much difference in the armor
and
there.
that was the Forge Father player. Like it was his Juggernaut didn't last any game.
No.
And
a unit of cyborgs took out it.
I one-shotted
Well, they have
another
seismic,
Strider.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out against vehicle seismic is pretty good.
And then
Yeah.
I liquified a whole bunch of cyborgs with it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and then you one-shot another Strider
Yeah.
with Polaris Cam.
So
Yours is the true Strider.
I guess so.
That was the Gundam Strider, right?
That was the Gundam.
It was the
Strider.
Gundam
what matters.
Strider.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
And so that's a nice change because my Striders normally do not
Perform.
kill anything
They're
at all.
They're nervous firers.
Yeah. It's, you know what it is that now that I can give them the ace boost, which gives them marksman,
Marksman does a lot. Turns out re-rolling failed dice helps.
which I don't think I re-rolled a single one.
I don't
but
think you did either.
It gave them the confidence to be a better Gundam pilot. That's what it
Well,
is.
you know,
Yeah,
they all start somewhere.
That added from command protocols was awesome.
Mhm.
Being able to do the upgrades like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think some of the changes I did with command dice worked out too well. There might have been too many floating around at times. Rick?
We had what, 12 in one? Yeah.
I mean, I was
had-
running like 13, 14 at the GT, but I also had 3 command units.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like, at least twice, I think we had gotten in double digits worth of command points to spend on stuff. Whether or not we did.
Sometimes you just forget that you have them.
Yeah.
Ben and I used our command points in every single round.
I did notice that a lot.
Every single one of them.
Well, when you get that chance to double activate
Yep.
or remove, pinning,
Yep.
And
I don't know how I'm going to deal with pinning moving forward with my current armies.
I know with my list, one thing I ran into at least once was like not having the units that can support like the faction orders and take the most advantage of them.
Right.
So really kind of building around faction orders can really like boost your list.
It
So
can,
that's-
because on the cyborgs, like half of my command I couldn't use.
Right.
Well, like at the GT, I built my entire Styrian list around using the Reconnect the Synapse ability. So I had marionettes and phantoms, and I'm just going to sit here and regen wounds and models all game. And it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out things working together kind of helps.
So what was the results of the tournament?
Well, Rick actually won. He actually got to play in a tournament for once, and he actually won by a large margin.
I played in a few tournaments.
The GT, that counts.
Well, I don't count this year.
I do.
So tournament-wise, I played in 3 Firefight tournaments now.
I'm trying to remember them all.
So the first GT Firefight tournament, I took 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This past GT, I was just a ringer, so
It counts. It still counts.
I was playing GCPS. I didn't know what I was doing.
That's true. Yeah. Brian handed you a list. And you
He
had no
handed me
idea
a
what you
list
were
of
doing.
models, and I'm like, I don't even know what's what.
I had to tell him what.
And then yes, this one.
Yeah, but you won.
I did.
By a large margin, I might add. Turns out playing the objectives with a fast army.
A game.
Well, you got what, 6 victory points on turn 1 in your last game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Turns out that's a tough hill for someone to climb back up against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? No, next time I'd probably do maybe 2-hour games instead of the normal.
So the tough part for
or reduce the points.
So the tough part for our opponent on the last one with those objectives, we put 3 objectives incredibly close together.
Yeah, I did see that.
Because of where they put theirs.
Yeah, like Brian, yours were pretty spread out.
Yeah, ours were spread along the main line, really.
But that's playing the objectives.
Yeah,
absolutely. Once you get to know where the objectives are going, you can kind of start planning ahead.
And that's what we did. I mean, and it was funny though, because the first and the last game, my partner was playing Enforcers.
Right.
So that first turn was like, okay, you go shoot everything you can, and then we'll move in melee.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Really well. So, what gave you the hardest moments today, Rick?
It'd be the Asterians in the first game.
Was it the shields?
Yeah. So, no, it wasn't necessarily the shields. It was, I didn't have viable melee targets.
That's true.
Which, amusingly enough, forced me to play the objectives a little bit more in that first game.
These things happen.
But yet, I mean, really, they were the ones that gave me the toughest time. I mean, the first 2 games, my mule was taken out immediately, so it was like, I don't even get to use what I didn't know about.
Yeah, well,
until the third game.
Until you actually got to live longer than a turn.
And then in the third game, there was no reason for me to do that charge, because it was smarter to play the objective.
Right, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Brian, what gave you and your teammate the most issue today?
I think really balancing unit strength versus ability to capture objectives. And really kind of mitigating that. Like the game against us, between Rick and I, like our teams, it was so close, but it was okay, there's a unit strength here, so they're taking that sector and everything like that, and it was by 1.
Yeah. 3-2.
Yeah. So and it was that thing where it's like making sure that, especially because that was the securing the sector one.
Yep.
Where being able to have models that A, have unit strength, and B, can participate on that level or contest.
And I think the whole unit strength is also something that I think was a challenge for a lot of new players.
Especially don't be a single trooper specialist model with unit strength, because then it counts for nothing.
Counts for nothing. It just helps you contest.
Well, if you become the last model, you have 0 unit strength. You can't even contest at that point.
Yeah.
Which I think it's fine. It makes sense. What's a lone marionette going to do against anything?
Well, I mean, it forces you to, again, it's part of that whole, the balance of the game. It forces you to take more troops.
Yeah, right.
It forces you to take those, okay, if I'm playing in a tournament, we know it's objective-based, because all tournaments are objective-based.
Yep.
When you build your list at 1,000 points, 1,200 points, what is your unit strength going into this tournament?
Can you survive a turn being shot and then still be able to control it?
Correct. So where the rules for Firefight are smooth.
Yeah.
It's a really smooth game right now. Now you got to dive in and think about things, especially when you're playing in a tournament.
Right. And that's new for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think everybody walked away today with a little bit more knowledge on. Maybe if we read the rules, we'll figure it out.
and realistically, that happens in every tournament.
any tournament, any game, really.
Yeah.
You're always going to learn something.
So Nick, what was the hardest thing for running the tournament today?
Well, my foot did cramp up.
Well, see, that's the thing is like we mentioned is like, you know, when you're TO, you can just sit.
But no, I wander way too much.
You were up and walking around the entire time.
I just like to see what's happening.
It's cool. It's cool to have a TO that goes to every table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was easy when there's only 2 tables after a time.
Yeah.
But no, just making sure I had everything ready. It's new to me to make sure I have everything ready. I won't lie, I printed out all the packets yesterday at work.
Yep.
I mean, you say that like it's an odd occurrence.
Yeah, that's not. Nope.
For you two, I envision you having it done like a month ago. It's in a folder somewhere, ready to go.
So
folders online don't count.
Yeah, they should count.
So like, ran into that with Adepticon this last year because my printer at home wasn't working, and the printer at work ran out of toner.
Oh, that's fun.
And then ran out of ink on the other one. So it was like, what do I do?
You got the trifecta there.
Yeah, it was a little tricky getting everything printed for Adepticon.
So Nick, a lot of the tournaments that we run, usually that stuff isn't printed off until the night before or
oh good, I no longer feel
or I should say like
or in the hotel.
Yeah.
I mean that's why they have printers for us war gamers.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I've ever had a list not get printed off until I get to the hotel.
I need to get
usually
better
I'm still
about
painting. And I'm going to point it out, I kept up my tradition today of still be painting the morning of the tournament. I didn't
morning of the tournament, and you were painting.
But I had my list finished painting at least today.
I will say your Abyssal Forge fathers are looking really sweet.
I can't wait to play against them.
They are going to be neat, as the kids say. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to add a few more things. Might need to raid somebody's bits box a bit more.
By all means.
And I have to get more actual dwarves because I ran out. Even though I purchased your Abyssal Dwarves, I ran out of dwarves.
Yep.
Turns out most of that box was gargoyles and slave orcs. I mean, luckily, though, there is a heavy weapon in there, so I do have a heavy weapon stand.
Yeah.
Nice,
eventually.
nice.
Once I get more bodies.
More bodies.
More bodies.
Well, with that, Nick, thanks so much for running this event, man.
It was
great.
fun. We're going to have to do more in the area again, kind of get the Lansing scene.
Area back in check.
Gear. Yep.
Because Detroit seems to have a group.
Detroit seems to have a big Kings group at the moment.
We like to do both. But we're focusing on Kings to build the rest of the scene
I'm
out.
sensing an oncoming area rivalry.
I think so.
I would love.
And I would love to see a Detroit
face
versus
off.
Lansing.
We'll have
We're
to
going
do
to need
that.
more players.
Lansing's definitely going to need more players.
I mean, we got a few Grand Rapid players. We're going to count that.
We'll steal them.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
they're ours. They're on outside of the state. You can wait.
We get the guys near Port Huron.
Deal.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, so much. And thank you guys for listening to Deadzone the podcast.
Don't forget to follow us on all those social media things.
Yes.
And to play Asterians.
If you so
not.
choose. All right. Have a nice night, everybody. Yay, we did it! Good job, everybody. That's a really cool trophy.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
What's the sword from?
Don't know.
Oh, okay.